sent shockwaves around the WNBA, and let's just say that this isn't the same rookie they tried to push around last season. Forget the idea that she's simply a delicate player who can be intimidated by muscular defenders.
While not a flagrant foul penalty, should have been upon review. You could have personal, but
the video that is circulating online depicts a Caitlin Clark that no one was ready for. Bigger, stronger, and more menacing than ever. Those days are past. If defenders believe they could get away with roughing her up and hacking her and expecting the referees to ignore it like they did last season, then they're in for another surprise, because in 2025, Caitlin Clark is taking matters into her own hands. It's evident that Clark has been working out like a woman on a mission. We all witnessed last season's events where Caitlin Clark was being thrashed on every possession and the referees ignored the whistle as if their jobs depended on it. Meanwhile, other league stars were receiving touch fouls for simply breathing close to the basket, and Clark had to be body slammed before the referee even considered blowing the whistle, and even then, they frequently ignored it.
These open free opportunities.
Clark nudged by Carrington. Clark has some words for her back. Have been really just draped all over each other in the two meetings and then tonight's game.
Nick Carrington was an absolute her first ever game of the WNBA, forcing 10 turn and come out of position, get her with the hip.
Clark's first trip to the line.
But here's the thing. Clark adopted a different strategy and developed into a player who doesn't require the referee's protection. Instead of wasting her off-season begging for better treatment, she didn't go to the league office in tears or implore officials to finally start making calls. The rest of the league is at risk because defenders had the ideal strategy the previous season. Get physical, get inside her head, and make her doubt every drive, shot, and move. They believed that if the game turned into a street fight, Clark would back down and she would definitely take her lumps because, let's face it, they weren't just playing her hard, they were targeting her. However, that strategy is now dead on her own.
On the push, so Lewis still has one to get. And a foul there on the baseline.
You can tell Clark isn't just lifting weights. She's training for battle. Her arms, shoulders, and core power are all there as if her life depended on it. Therefore, when defenders try to push her off her spot, it's not Caitlin Clark who moves. They try to slap her arms as she pulls up for a three, but she has the strength to push through the contact and still drain the shot. Good luck.
Clark eyes up. In one-on-one with Jones, will flip it in. Loose ball, Indiana. Great look. Smith able to dart. There's your exclamation point.
The finest aspect last season, there were times when you could see the annoyance in her eyes as she got hacked. looked at the referee, and shook her head as if nothing had happened. But this season, if she gets hit, she doesn't stop to complain. Instead, she's crushing defenders and making them pay for even trying. And let's face it, WNBA defenders aren't prepared for this Caitlin Clark. They're too accustomed to her as the finesse shooter, and they could bullshit the rookie snowflake who gets rattled. However, they're going to learn the hard way that Caitlin Clark has officially entered her villain arc, and she's not looking for pity or waiting for referees to do their jobs. Instead, she's taking care of business herself. If you're a defender still thinking you can punk her like last season, you're in for a nasty.
We'll just close more quickly.
Clark zips it in fact, Benley
Slips the screen, like beautifully delivered. We talk about
Clark has the big on her soft and wing three is good. Clark drew two, to back to Clark. Wallace will take the three and drain it. Clark?
Let's discuss the utter grind. Caitlin Clark has been on this, and the results are undeniable. If you've seen the leaked footage, you already know that this version of Clark is built differently. So let's break it down. If you want to be immobile on the court, you start with the core, which is exactly what Clark has been doing, building up a rock-solid base so that when defenders try to bump her off her spot, she doesn't budge. Think about last season when she came off a screen, defender body checked her like it was a foot bug.
And Becky Hammond's going to take a timeout, and she's going to challenge this.
Clark is transforming into a tank. She will withstand those blows and continue to make fluid shots.
And more paint points, and every bit of it for their fans because they're fabulous move, stopping, tremendous move. We are top.
Let's be truthful. If there's one thing that elevates a great player to MVP status, it's the combination of strength and explosiveness. Caitlin Clark was never known for her upper body strength last year, as the defenders played her as though she was too weak to handle pressure, muscling her out of position whenever they wanted. This year, however, Clark has been hitting the weights hard, and it's evident that she's been doing. Clark previously has elite speed, but she is now preparing for explosive power. Initial actions, unstoppable driving, and fast cuts to KL.
To Katie Lou Samuelson.
Christine a little bit early. I said, what's your playing weight now? She said, one.
You mentioned earlier, Mark, Caitlin.
Her endurance has always been absurd, but the physical change is only one aspect of it. Let's also discuss the mental change that results from it. You know those plays where she gets stuck at the top of the key and has to battle through double teams, but this time she's blowing right past them. In addition to working hard to improve her strength, Clark is also changing the way she plays the game. She is entering this season with a whole new level of confidence because she knows she can handle any situation that comes her way. Last year, there were times when she lost her temper and took hits, but this season, she is not waiting for calls. Instead, she will dominate contact play, make the defenders regret ever trying to push her around, and more.
Puts the foul.
Is one, and the get-ahead pass is another. Oftentimes,
Players that has the ability to turn your.
We hear players say they're returning stronger every offseason, but Caitlin Clark actually did it. She witnessed how the WNBA treated her the previous season, how the defenders tried to rough her up, and how everyone thought she would lose it under pressure. Instead of complaining, she went to work, and now she's stronger, faster, and more mentally sharp than ever. Defenders who were counting on the same old Caitlin Clark are in for a rude awakening this season because she's taking no prisoners. Oh, you poor soul, you truly believed that Caitlin Clark would remain the same skinny rookie you could push around like a shopping cart. You thought you could keep throwing elbows, bodying her up full court, and watching her stumble as if it were open season, but joke's on you because 2025.
Baseline, it's off the underside of the backboard, did a nice job to recover. It bounces inside.
And you know what? They usually tell you not afraid.
Mitchell up.
It is Kofi Mitchell time and time again. You also have to be.
Mason knocks it down, and Indiana's been red hot here early.
It was like a welcome to the league hazing ritual, except instead of rookies carrying bags, and the referees allowed it to happen. Let's be honest, last season, some of these WNBA defenders treated her like the new kid on the block who needed to earn her stripes. They tried to intimidate her by throwing cheap shots and baiting her into bad plays. Although Caitlin had bruises, they were unaware that she wasn't wired like most players. Instead of folding or crying over it, she studied the game, went to the gym, and returned a monster. Now, let me explain why this is bad news for anyone who still believes they can pump Caitlin Clark in 2025. Last season, defenders would body her up at half court like it was WWE SmackDown, throwing a hip check that would force Clark to reset and put in twice as much effort to get into her offensive flow. Bad.
At least by our account. This, no, but can also see that being a no call.
This isn't the case anymore because when a defender bumps her, they will sense the resistance and quickly realize that she is solid. You can't just push her off her spot and expect her to stumble like Bambi on ice. Instead, she will absorb the contact and keep it moving. And if you lean in too much, she will put you on the ground.
Let me be very clear. That's when they step up. That's exactly what she's doing.
Smith gets inside for Indiana. Indiana trying to pass Clark to Mitchell. Big three for Indiana.
You believed Caitlin was dangerous before, but now that she's bigger, stronger, and even more self-assured, she's taking her shots without hesitation because she knows she can overcome any feeble defense you tried to use against her last year. The haters thought they could influence her, so they made disparaging remarks in interviews, ignored her on the court, and made insignificant remarks whenever she was fouled hard, acting as though she should just toughen up. Well, guess what she did?
This was interesting on the heels of some of the recent discussions, because I've seen people going after Caitlin Clark's agent, for walking on eggshells with some of her comments. And, she said there's no way to fairly compensate Caitlin Clark, which was basically her way of saying, yes, Clark is explosively popular and the reason for the popularity in the WNBA and women's basketball. But she also, did the whole tiptoeing thing and crediting those who came before, what I've called the WNBA reverence tax. But, in her case, she has to make sure that she's not doing anything incendiary for Clark or fanning any flame.
2025, she's the one setting the tone now. You know that moment in sports when an opponent underestimates someone and realizes mid-game that they've made a terrible mistake. The moment when the crowd starts buzzing, the energy shifts, and suddenly the defender looks a little off balance. Caitlin Clark is mentally unbreakable. You can talk trash, she'll light you up. You fouled her hard, and she'll get up, stare you down, and drop 30 on your head.
And Caitlin Clark can tune up. The WNBA Friday Night Spotlight is presented by State Farm.
And being able to come out here and support, I know me and Tillman.
Mitchell with 5 seconds left. Cross court Clark. Does Clark see the clock? Handoff serve. And the Fever in the third with a flourish.
When Caitlin Clark flexes her new strength and walks through contact like it's nothing and lets that three fly with a smirk on her face, WNBA players who believed she was still the same